Thursday, March 6th, 2025, the Town of Wilmington, Connecticut's Board of Finance meeting. And it's been called to order, and we will start with the seating of alternates. Walter Purcell will not be in this evening, so do we have a motion?
Nelson Miller for Walter Purcell.
Second. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? That's unanimous. Okay, we will start with the approval of the minutes from February 27th, 2025.
Move to approve.
Right, so, one thing I noticed, it should be noted in the minutes that at roughly 7:20, Christina joined the meeting and it was not required that Britt continue in the capacity of an alternate.
That was,
Because it was not
Last
mentioned last week. Yeah.
Mhm. Did I make it last week?
Yeah.
Okay, okay.
It's been a long week.
Uh,
It was the week before you didn't make it.
yeah, right, yeah, I was bored of bed, I wasn't here. Yeah.
All right, anything else?
Oh, I
Last
second.
week was Board of
Yeah,
Ed. Yeah,
last
last week was Board of Ed.
Oh, it's the week prior.
It was the week prior.
Yeah.
Because we were here.
These are from the 27th, so this is last week.
Yeah, because Britt was an alternate last week.
I was in all
Yeah.
last week.
Yeah, Christina was absent, so
Yeah, I was.
I think that's the
Yeah,
one.
That was the week.
Okay.
That should not be in her.
Yeah, yeah, that was the one before.
Thank you for the correction.
Which that is correction.
Where's the correction?
Then I second the motion.
All right, so we have a second. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And abstentions? Are you voting Christina?
Oh, I'm abstaining.
Abstaining.
Yes.
Okay, so one abstention. All right, next we'll move on to present to speak. Public participation is desired and encouraged. Speakers will be limited to time and appropriateness of comments to maintain progress, stay on topic, and maintain decorum. Do we have anybody for present to speak? No, not at this time, so we'll move on to new business. Item number one, and the only item on there is the Selectman's budget to be presented by Selectman Peter Tanaka.
Good evening, thank you for inviting me. I have Donna Latinchis and Troy here to help me with this. This is the budget as it stands now. Last year's budget was $5,341,946. The budget as it's proposed now is $6,384,689 for an increase of $1,042,763, which is a percentage increase as it stands now of 19.5%. I believe that we're going to need to trim that out, and I'm hoping that the Board of Finance is helping us with that. Heating oil decreased slightly, as did diesel fuel. Electricity went up significantly, however. Did we find out if we're paying the Pura?
We are not paying a charge.
Okay, good. We had to change insurance companies because they were guessing that we were gonna go up 25% this year, and by changing insurance companies, and we went to 0%, but we had to add dental. So our people now have a dental benefit. The Kerma budget is stabilized, so it shouldn't enter more than 3%. Kerma is the municipal insurance for liability, etc. Our cannabis was offset $3,000 to be assigned to the Selectman budget for community engagement. Keeping in mind that our cannabis shop has shut down, although I heard a rumor today they may be coming back, so I don't know. Information technology is shared with the town. The town budget is 53% of the Novus charge, and the school is 47%. That went up a percentage too. I don't remember what it was. It was higher than I thought it was. They are adding in additional cybersecurity. Heating oil, diesel, and electric copiers are all under contract. Mowing and trimming is out to bid. The town pays 94% of the mowing and trimming, the schools pick up 6%. Phone service, the school's paying for the outgoing lines and the town pays for the incoming lines. That was a project that pre-exists me and we're just continuing it. Wages have presented a fair chunk of the increase. There was a contractual increase for all employees of 2.5% this year, and the US Department of Labor rule set the minimum salary for salaried employees at $58,656. We had 4 employees that were below the Department of Labor minimum, so the Board of Selectmen brought them up so that the town would be in compliance with federal law. Is a minimum wage increase of 4.2% from $15.69 to $16.35 effective last January 1st. And we're asking that the human services assistant be increased from 10 hours to 14 hours a week, and the Department of Public Works administrative assistant be increased from 15 to 20 hours. The Public Works assistant is currently spearheading our grants and getting the roads together, mostly Village Hill and Schofield. The grant administration on that's not easy, and she's very good at it. We're lucky to have her for that. Department of Public Works is asking for a 0.6 full-time driver, so that currently what we have is 1 3-day transfer station laborer and 1 3-day transfer station laborer who also drives for 2 days a week. We'd like to have a 3-day driver so we can have a 5-day driver there. How that would be divided up is yet to be determined, but we'd like to have 1 full-time driver there. The return on investment there would be that we wouldn't have to have the contract snowplow, which we're finding not only harder to find one, but it's growing exponentially more expensive. So that would save on the back end there. The capital
Who is that
improvement,
driver? I mean, who is that employee that would be going up on Public Works?
we'd have to hire somebody.
Yeah, we have.
Oh, okay, I thought there was someone that was gonna increase hours.
No,
Okay.
because our
Gotcha.
transfer station employee who's not driving is 3 days a week, so he can drive another 3 days a week, and so, and we don't have anybody else, so we adjust that, we haven't quite figured that out yet, but
So you'd be adding a part-time person? And
no, what we'd be doing is we'd be adding a full-time person. We'd either be adding a full-time person and cutting one of our full-time people back to part-time, or adding a part-time person. That's what I mean by we haven't figured out how to shift the hours yet, but we need the time behind the wheel. Is that correct?
That is correct, yeah.
Capital improvement, the capital improvement program is asking for a $554,600 increase. And then the other big one is Department of Public Works. They're asking for an increase of $20,000 for tree removal, $50,000 for chip seal, and $275,000 for road maintenance and asphalt. The road maintenance and asphalt is to comply with the study that was completed 3 years ago, 4 years ago.
3 years, yes.
3 years ago, there was a study done on how often we should be repaving our roads and filling in a program on that, and this is in compliance with that. I've asked for a $20,000 increase in the lawyer. It says counsel, which means legal counsel, but every time you say counsel, you think of a group of people sitting behind the table. So we're gonna call it the Cadle Rock lawyer. Cadle Rock is a property on 44. I believe it's 60 something acres, of which 20, I think, is ours, maybe less. I don't remember the exact numbers. It was owned by the Cadle Rock Company and it had a lot of brownfields on it, hazardous waste. The Environmental Protection Agency, the feds came in, told them to clean it up. They didn't, so the Environmental Protection Agency and DEP cleaned it up and billed them. They didn't pay the bill. So when the town took the land for a tax, failure to pay taxes, we inherited those bills. The lawyer is fully believes that if we talk to the EPA and the DEP this year, that we may be able to get those waived. But we have to pay the lawyer fee to get that done. If we don't pay the lawyer fee, then by the end of the year, our time is up and we will inherit those bills. So I think it would be most prudent for us to settle that with the EPA,
How much are those bills? Just,
several $1 million.
yeah, that's what I figured.
It's not little.
I just wanted a
Lots.
comparison, yeah.
Yeah,
Is, what is that date from, that hold? Do you know, like,
long before I got involved in politics, so it's more than a decade. It's, the problem is that you have to have planning and you this and that, and I wasn't involved in some of that. So I'm trying to catch up the best as I can, and Catherine Silversmith over in Ashford, while she was a selectman, she was not first selectman during some of this, so she too was trying to catch up.
It's like 20 years.
Yeah,
I feel like it's more than 10, yeah.
yeah, it's more than 10, and they gave us a deadline, and the deadline is like within a year from now, so.
I mean, well, not to be late, but isn't the bottom line, most of everything was in the Asher property anyway?
No.
Oh.
No,
I thought it was.
no, there was like 5 major sites. The major site was on our property. It was way in the back. If you're looking at it from 44, way in the back to the left, where they were doing the wire burning.
And
What-
our little pat,
Yeah.
the little, the Wellington part is tiny.
Yeah,
but
yeah,
It's the most effective.
I thought it was.
No,
Where,
It's only wires, not dental and magma. Dental and magma.
no, they were burning wires to take.
That was
the
another-
to
insulation
get
off,
the
yeah.
scrap of the wires for scrap,
Yeah.
right?
There was another guy that was taken for, it was fillings, that had mercury in them.
Oh.
You remember that?
No.
Wasn't there, anyway. Sorry.
Oh. I don't remember if I was here last week. Are you serious?
Not pronounced. Yes.
Human Services. Human Services, we're asking for an $11,207 increase. That's because the
ARPA money.
ARPA money ran out on the senior center coordinator. I remember last year the seniors had quite the reaction to maybe losing their post.
You almost said it
I left that in. Yes, we almost did. And we almost had the fire marshal called on us.
I was provoked.
So. Going over the big numbers. The town lawyer budget has gone up 67%, which is $21,500. We've had a lot of legal assistance this year. And it should be, I'm hoping, easing off because we have finished the contract and the Pedex property contract and the water contract, so. Unless something really bad happens, I can see it settling down.
Pete, why is the revenue collector going up that much?
Revenue collector.
I mean,
The
I understand
revenue-
where you are on that, on whatever, the page with the pie chart on it,
Yeah,
okay,
the revenue collector is going up primarily because it's salary. There's a salary increase for the assistant that was larger than I expected. I don't know what caused that. Donna, do we know?
Yes, we do know. The salary this year, 24-25, is understated because none of those salaries have the increase in them yet, because we redesigned the budget last year. We did not have a union contract. So
Right.
Oh.
that's distorting
Is that-
everything
is
for
that,
you.
Oh, yeah, it's distorting the increases in
Yes.
budget.
But nothing's changed. She works 18 hours a week, and in July and January, she works 34 hours a week.
We also had that was one of the salaries that we had to bring up to Department of Labor standards
oh,
was
okay.
Yes.
But
the,
that helps.
yes, and
Us too.
we had to increase the training budget some because when we lost our certified revenue collector, we have to now get our current revenue collector certified. And I believe that's a 2-year project.
Yes, yes, at least 2 years.
So all the payroll is gonna basically show 5% or better,
Because of the distortion last year without the
2
contract.
years reflection of,
Mhm.
yeah, okay.
Okay, and let's see. Building of, no, wasn't what I was looking at. Capital expenditures. Went up significantly because we're gonna try to get 3 projects done. And I gotta get my other sheet for the projects. I apologize. Oh, yeah, sorry. Look at that, Donna got them all cut out for me. The $50,000 for Village Hill Drainage Phase 1. The reason that's in there is we need to finish the engineering on that. So that we can use the money that we got from the state grant, the urban something, because we're urban.
First
Believe me.
us.
It became urban when
Oh, thank you.
Christina was first selectman.
Yeah,
It didn't make any of us happy, but we are urban.
tried to fight it. and then-
So we got a $2 million urban something grant to fix roads. If we pay the $50,000, then we should have about 700,000 from that grant to finish the drainage on phase 1 on Village Hill Road. Some of that project has already been pre-planned, so when they did other work, we have our oil separator and collection basin and all that installed from a previous project. That will help us get into next year to finish Schofield, which will be considerably more money and construction. We won't be able to complete it on the grant, but my idea is to phase it so we can get at least, we can spend the money that the state gave us to get at least some of the phasing done, so that if we can get more, then we can get more phases done. $35,000 for the emergency EMS air containment system. Currently with the station 213, we've got the fire trucks parked inside because they have to be inside, and when you turn them on, the exhaust pipes go into the sleeping quarters. And OSHA told us that's bad. So we want to fix that. And then an additional $65,000 for the parking lot replacement at 24 Old Farms Road, the Willington Hill Fire Department. Currently, their parking lot is caving into their septic system. And I believe that they're gonna have to be there for at least another 3 to 5 years before the building committee gets out that far. So we would like them to continue to be able to flush the toilets.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Those 3 projects is more than $85,000.
Yep, I believe it's an increase of 85,000. So there was some expenditures
Oh.
some money in there already, I believe. Somebody help?
Yeah, they're going up from 65, 85 to bring it to 150.
Yeah,
And that's how much those three projects are.
Is it? It's 85 plus 120. Okay, if you say so.
That's close to me, but
Yeah,
don't ask me to do math real fast in my head, that's why I've done. So that clears up all the really big stuff. Is there, the one thing that's missing on this packet as you have it now is probate. That's because they haven't told us what we're paying. That's not a price that we get to pick. That's a price that they pick and tell us to pay it.
Where is that? Is that in this?
It's on page 1. Right in the middle, it's in red. In page 1 of the
Okay,
Excel sheet.
gotcha.
And I'm guessing that it would be around that 4,400 mark. Plus or minus, plus 3% or so. I don't know what else you want me to cover for right now. If you have any questions, I can try to answer them. Go.
can I ask about the leases?
Yes.
So. You're asking for 155,000, but there's 3 new leases at least on the draft CIP.
Yes,
And they are more than 155.
So we decided we were gonna push out the lease for the John Deere loader to year 2.
Okay.
At the CIP meeting last night, so we pushed that
Oh,
out.
okay.
Just
Like that's
last night.
official. Yeah, but so that's in the plan now, all right,
It's in the year 2 of the plan now.
okay. I didn't know if it was official yet. Okay. So, yeah, that makes sense. Okay.
so. The other big drivers in the plan. If you don't have the CIP plan, but the CIP plan has currently, I want to stress that the CIP. James, back me up on this unless I'm wrong. The CIP plan is still not solid. It's still in progress. So you will get a total one in 2 weeks, I believe. But another big driver in this is that the transfer to capital reserve funds. So that we have some money in savings when big projects hit. Most likely the school or schools. And fire departments and other town buildings. So other town buildings, there's $800,000 being in the plan, and the schools, there's currently 1 million in the plan. So. That would be where most of that's. Well, between that and the pavement, where most of your 16% is coming from. Any other questions?
Yeah. It's in the-
Go ahead, ask it, and I'll see if I can answer it. It's like Jeopardy. I'm losing
Can you
a
put it
quiz
in
plan and I might as well lose it this too.
Just give us a second.
Sure.
Did the selectmen make cuts already? Like,
The selectmen went through this budget and this is what they wanted me to present tonight. We went through the budget today from 11 AM to 1:10 or PM or something like that. It's on video. It should be posted no later than Monday. I don't know if you got it posted this afternoon or not.
so did you make any cuts?
We did not find any major cuts to make. So what we had discussed is the pavement.
Hmm,
The pavement is probably where it's in the plan, something the town should do, it's something that we've been asked to do, so we put it in our budget. However, we understand as a committee that probably not. That would be someplace, I would strongly like to, for you to consider the $20,000 for the tree increase. We did have 2 major insect infestations, and the fire department will tell you how many trees and the wires they've been going to lately, including last night, I believe. Right across the road from here. The so I wages are about where we have to be contractually. And so it looks like CIP and DPW would be where we could possibly take a hit. I am not asking for it. I am also well aware that 16 point something is not something that will tax.
So when Christina asked that question, the answer was no, you guys didn't make cuts on your.
No,
Okay,
we tried to work these numbers the best we could to get them into the thing in the first place. The other thing we did ask for was an increase in economic development. The Economic Development Commission has bought and paid for a number of welcome to Willington signs, and we don't have the money to install them. So that's what the increase in that is, as Jeff will tell you, because he's got one sitting in the corner of his office
so that's EDC.
on the deal.
It's not really, Jeff. We're just doing that.
Well, two are paid for, and there's nothing else to do.
Yeah,
No, it's sitting in my shop, it's paid for,
they also, the place where they wanted to put it up
it has no impact on.
taken back their permission to put it up there. So that was an issue as well.
Well, whatever has been done is paid for, has no impact on this budget.
No, it had no impact on this budget, except to install it, which is not your problem.
Right.
Yeah,
Could I just ask you for future reference? And Don, it might be more of a question for you on the way payroll work because of the late contract and everything. Is there, normally, don't we put a placeholder in any way, in some way, right? Hardwired in somewhere. That doesn't really help because we basically deferred all the raises were because of the late negotiation or agreement.
no,
Is that the deal?
no.
Like, why is that impact all coming into 1 year?
The impact is coming into this year in the line item, I believe. We did have. We knew about where the increase was gonna be, so that was in another line. So the total. So this year's 2.5% increase is reflected in the increase of the budget. The 5% that's in the line item is not in the.
Reflected.
In the increase in the total budget. Because the contract was on time, but the contract wasn't before the referendum.
Okay,
It didn't expire before the referendum. It was a timing issue.
so it's more of a bookkeeping thing?
Yes,
Okay. You're comfortable with that assessment? Okay.
sorry.
No, I mean, I'm
answering your
describing it as a
question.
bookkeeping thing, okay.
All right.
I just wanted to be sure, because I didn't know how much of that might contribute to the large year-over-year increase. Does it?
It does not.
The second, this year's budget, payroll increase goes towards the overall increase. Last year's, that's not reflected in the line item, does not. So about half of it's reflected in the, in the overall increase.
Okay.
Because we did save for that. We saw it coming. we were prudent.
Well, we've had a lot of turnover, so.
Yeah.
So, you know, as far as actual spending, we're probably pretty under for the end of the year. We have the fund balance. Impacts and everything. Right? Did human services increase pretty much all, I know that they've already appeared, but they were at the front end.
Wait a minute.
It's pretty much all the senior center,
Yes.
person that, you know, coming onto the payroll full throttle instead of a portion at a time over the last 2 years, after the.
I believe that is correct. I thought
Yeah.
I had the paperwork on
And
that.
then, but I was wondering if there's also something to do with the pay of an assistant? Human
Yes,
services?
the human services assistant is going from 12 hours to 15 hours. That's a minimum wage job, so the dollar amount isn't that significant. She's also been very active in making sure our. Let me make a pitch for her. It's not financial, is that. What you hope from your human services assistant is that they get to know the people in your town and the people that are truly. In need and deserving and has a boatload of compassion. And we have that person, and I would really like to hold on to her, and right now. She would like to go to 15 hours and she has more than 15 hours worth of work a week. So that's why I'm putting that in the budget.
Well, the quality of work is certainly pertinent. In doing
The
that.
quality of work is well above her pay grade.
My economic development, because I wasn't here the week we went over that. And I know since then, there was the whole thing with the study for the strategic plan. Where are we with that, and is that gonna have a cost impact?
No,
We're not gonna have to pay more?
no, we have paid them what we owed them.
Mhm.
The contract has been severed. They have turned over the report as it was written to us, along with all the data. And the Economic Development Commission, as I understand it, because I didn't attend any of their meetings, was that the conclusion was where they were coming to loggerheads. And the Economic Development Commission is writing the conclusion is from, as they see it from the data.
Okay, so we didn't get a full deliverable from the guy.
We got a full deliverable, it's just that the last part of it, the Economic Development Commission wanted them to change and they wouldn't change it.
Mhm. Okay. But we don't have to spend more money on a different consultant?
No.
Finish it?
No.
Okay.
Not my understanding.
Okay,
Well, could I ask for a question about that? Because my understanding was part of his work was gonna be the rollout, communication with the public. And, you know, sort of seeing that through. It
that's-
wasn't just the writing, I didn't think.
I don't have any understanding on that one way or another, so you're
Be
ahead
in
of me
the
on that.
agreement, I think. Be in that,
Yeah,
we
that was, 9,000 agreements were in this town, after about
your
6, I'm done.
signature's on a piece.
Probably is, my signature's on a lot of stuff.
Well, I think that, the way he pitched it anyway, and I think that's the way the fee was set. It's a continuing service through the rollout as well. As the, you know,
And
for, you know, to hopefully
I'm not saying that,
emphasize a higher level of
Right.
success with it, rather than it just being. a-
I can't either confirm or deny out of mostly ignorance, and I think that would be a good question for the Economic Development Committee. Or for the chair, who's also a selectman, so
But you're saying we pretty much, we paid the full amount that the ARPA money,
I believe so,
of the
yes.
ARPA money.
Mhm. That way we wouldn't be in violation of the contract and get have to pay for a lawsuit on top of that.
Yeah. Let's see that. Can the public see both versions?
I believe so, yes.
I think that would be good.
I believe they're both gonna be made publicly available.
Good.
That's my understanding. I've been,
You know when that.
You're
might
in
be?
charge.
no.
The one thing that's gonna be challenging is the schools. We don't know what's gonna happen with those.
Yes,
Whether we're gonna go with new, refurbish,
yep.
there's gonna have to be bonding as well for those.
And I believe that when you look at line 3 of the CIP, that's that $1 million. That's an anticipation of that. And it's not for any particular plan, it's because it's put in that way because we don't know. So it's
We won't know till after the budget's passed.
we won't know till after the budget. Yeah, no, we won't. Currently, there's legislation in Hartford that will make a great deal of difference on how we react. So until that passes or fails, or we can read the wording, we won't know.
It's
Are you talking about the percentage of state share in
Yeah.
a new school or
Yeah,
a
and
combined school?
and whether, some of these options are even gonna be available under the legislation, so. I believe the superintendent is meeting with our representative tomorrow. I was invited, but I can't make it. Conflict.
Well, we got that today, I think you said this today, right?
Peter sent it.
Thanks, Pete. The governor agreed with the legislature to go up the amount on the special ed transfer outs. And we got the highest percentage rate they're using, 78.8. But it's, of course, it's only a fraction of what the total bill is.
Yes.
It's 76,000 more. And we were at 334, now we're at 410,000 of that. Big nut, I think it's about one, I mean, it's, if the tuition and the transportation for the special ed kids
Right.
is 1.2 million. So it's about a third.
And I think that's something that we're gonna have to look into going forward, is the transportation for both school children and seniors. And seeing how we can get those to work in conjunction, so we're not paying double. That would be
Sounds good.
my hope.
Something that everybody in the state's grappling with, I think.
Yeah.
Just on the school projects in the CIP plan. There's 3 possibilities that are just, options that I think they're mulling over. The cheapest one is 17 million. That's all projected or estimated, but they're not real numbers, but still, the cheapest one's 17 million. If the most expensive one is 58 million, but of course that could go up too. But if let's say we went with a $17 million one, or in that neighborhood, we're looking at a $1.5 million bond payment for that. So that's why there's this, building up the shock absorber so that if that gets approved or something like that gets approved, we will be able to ease into a bond payment. So there's no cheap way out of it, I don't think. So I think that's the
But
point.
that cushioning is part of why the CIP
Yeah,
amount looks large, but it's
yeah.
for cushioning.
And the
Purposes.
same is true for the fire departments and for these big road projects. That's why the 800,000 is there, which none of us feel like is enough, knowing the cost of all of these things. And we just don't know which years they're gonna hit. We don't know what the actual numbers are. We can only make best guesses right now, but it's not 0. So that's all we know.
So. As an overview. You asked if we cut, and I said we didn't, but we did move that. We did confirm with Troy that moving that loader out of here wasn't going to. Affect him overly, But we felt that the town has asked us to complete a number of different projects, tasks. Do things that the town wants done. And the budget we presented is the budget we need to do everything that the town is asking us to do. What we don't know is what our feeling is your job is to tell us what we can afford to do. We're telling you what we've been asked to do. If you could tell us what we can afford to do, then we'll do those things, so. That the driver, we have a lot of unfunded mandates. State comes in and says, you will have a $2,000 video recorder to watch your ballot box for 3 weeks for early voting. Well, you have $2,000. No, you come up with that. We're just telling you to do it. So it's projects like that it $2,000 doesn't sound like that much, but you do that 15 times and pretty soon you're talking real money. So that's why we're bringing the budget to you as it is.
You know, in as far as tree removal goes, because that's like, I know that's wicked expensive, and then I think we used some money, we did some tree removal in the last couple of years, but 20,000 doesn't seem like it would go very far, and I'm wondering,
That's
what's the status of?
That's the increase.
That's the
20,000 is the increase.
So
It's not-
what is in there?
I think it's currently 80.
80,000 now.
So
we're
make it
at
go up to 100.
And we had 100 the year before, it was cut.
And we cut it quite a bit.
So this is going back to 2 years ago.
It was put in for more than 100 last year, right?
I think it was 100.
Yeah, I think it was asked for 100,
And we
yes, yeah.
dropped it to like
Dropped it.
60 something.
Mhm.
Yes, and then I believe it came back, well, in the end, it was 80,000 in there, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Anybody else have questions for Peter? Well, but present to speak.
Do you think there's anyone else in the room that can start? Comment, like-
Well, that's for Chris. Well, yeah, Troy, do you have anything you want to add?
No, I mean, I know the budget with the road money is, a huge increase, but according to that study, we should be maintaining about $800,000 a year to keep the roads the way they are. So right now with that is about 725,000 that would be in the budget going forward this year.
We cut a lot last year from materials,
I
right?
mean, yes, yeah, and the price, unfortunately, the price of everything is going up, it's not going down.
Hopefully we'll be making some headway on the big roads though that have been around for 30 years.
Yes, at least
On
30.
those projects, so I mean, it may be that we focus on, that.
Yeah, that would be. I think that's a very intelligent way of thinking about it. We're making headway on some roads, so we're not getting to others, that's. Also, we only have so much administrative support to get roads done, a lot of these. Roads, particularly when we're doing them on grant, is paperwork heavy.
Yeah, it's not that you don't want to do it, it's just that we have to figure out, we can't do everything.
Right, that's exactly what I'm saying, and I'm asking you to tell us what you want us to do, because. I'd like to do it all, but I realize that's not happening.
Anybody else, any comments?
I mean, for being here for 45 years, the roads have been a lot worse. That's the general. I'm not even, you know,
There's
a joke about.
there's a positive side.
There's
to that.
Well, you know, there were, I mean, you had people that would actually put, you know, your tax dollars are at work signs. I'll let you guess who that was.
We can't pay for studies, so.
Yeah. Made it himself.
That'd be under the EDC budget.
I'm just saying, you know, things were let go like some, you know.
Yeah, right.
In my life, they had paved them one time,
You mean they said that,
40 years later, they were. Yeah, most kind of roads, horrible.
that they put the signs up in a snide way versus a helpful way?
Yeah.
The state with the
Well,
money,
yes, they
state
made
roads.
a home sign, instead of a state sign, it's a joke. But we're not, you know, I've said this before, I don't think. I don't wanna see you cut, I know you gotta study, I know everything goes up, but, you know. I don't think we're on the track to go back to that. Where you have stuff that's basically impassable.
No, every year the roads deteriorate.
No,
I mean,
no,
especially,
I
you know, this winter, we've actually had somewhat of a winter. I mean, if you drive around, some of the frost heaves on some of the roads that, you know, are pretty brutal, but I mean, it's all over the place, that's. Do the best we can, that's all.
Do you want a fuller discussion on what the board of selectmen talked about? Because I don't have one of those memories that can play it back for you. The video should be online soon.
I got no interest in watching any of these videos.
I feel you with the very bottom of my heart.
The volunteer thing.
Jeff goes where you can find better TV. No, I just wanted to ask if you were making a choice of what to put the priority on as far as it, you know, increased payroll, because of course, that's something that we're really careful with. You make a good case for why you need what you need, but is there one or the other? I mean, are the roads more pressing because are the grants more pressing because that's upon us? It's in the CIP plan, or what are you thinking?
Well, I think the grant, I mean, I don't wanna say this it's not free money, but there's money that's given to do a project. If the town puts in, you know, a minimum increase, we're gonna be able to get something that's been on. You know, a project for a long time. It's not like, oh, hey, we just decided to pave this road and we're getting a grant for it.
Mhm.
These are projects that are there.
Right,
So with that, you know, funding, you know, the meetings we've had with the state with these grants. That, you know, put in a little bit of funding and look what the state's gonna give you to do a project. You know, I'll use Schofield as an example. If that was town funded 100%, you're probably looking at between $3.5 and $4 million to do that project. You know, the state's giving you, you know, a grant, $2 million, but we've shifted some of it to Village Hill, but still we could be putting $1 million of. You know, state money into it versus not taking the whole chunk out of the town. You know, so to me, if somebody is giving you something, we should try to,
Leverage.
try to make something work to get that amount of money done, cause it's a project. You know, if I go to CIP and say, well, you know, now we need $4 million for Schofield or $5 million, there's gonna be.
Another 30 years.
And I think it's all important, but it's up to you, I mean, you understand how things go, so that's.
well, that as opposed to the, you know, half a position or whatever it is.
Yeah, I mean, there's a crew of 4, you know, and I mean, nobody's getting any younger, you know, and with vacations, and last year we had a few people out with some illnesses, and it's hard to try to do things with a crew of 2 or a crew of 3. You know, that extra person would help out, it's, you know, with that, so,
Particularly at plow time.
yes.
We've been hiring per diem people when we can. They're hard to find.
All right, we'll move on to present to speak. Public participation is desired and encouraged. Speakers will be limited to time and appropriateness of comments to maintain progress, stay on topic, and maintain decorum. Do we have anybody for present to speak? No.
Like, When's I do this?
Do we have anybody for present to speak? Peter?
Good evening, Peter Latinchich, 97 Trask Road. Some observations and comments. On the positive side, kudos to our Board of Selectmen in working with our state representative to bring in that $2 million for Schofield and Village roads. That's a real coup. And those projects have been sitting there for a long time, and we were always told that we could never afford to do them, and now we are. What's puzzling, I think, to a lot of residents like myself is when we get funding like that, you'd think that would be a net decrease to our CIP. It's money we don't have to come up with from local funds. Yet I'm not sensing that. I'm just hearing we're doing that, but we still need to do everything else. And that's something normally someone can't do in their household budget. So it's puzzling to me why that doesn't apply to our town budget. More concerning to me is the 16% increase. That's obviously not going to work. I realize this is a starting point, so I'm glad to see the Board of Finance and the Board of Selectmen working together to see where that can be reduced dramatically, obviously, or we're going to have another budget referendum defeat like we had last year. My own personal view is that, as some of you suggested on the Board of Finance, we're facing large capital projects for both the school buildings and the firehouse buildings. It would seem reasonable to not be funding other CIP projects in anticipation of that because of the large bond payments we're going to be having when those projects begin. We can't do both. We can't have all these CIP projects for everything else and then take on large bond payments for substantial capital projects. So I encourage you to look at what's essential in CIP and zero out the rest as you formulate the budget for this year. Thanks so much.
Have anybody else for present to speak? So, Peter, I know you were somewhat involved, I know you too, Christina, with CIP. Have they done anything to prioritize projects?
Well, we just talked about all of them. And,
Oh,
yeah, go ahead.
I think the way you prioritize projects in CIP is the more priority a project has, the closer it is to year one. So the top priority projects are in year one, then they do year two, and pushing them out. That's why Schofield and Village Hill ended up at year 5 for 30 years. Because every year they went from year 5 to year 4 and got pushed back to year 5. So I'm not sure whether I heard Peter right when he had said that. Why isn't it coming off? The reason it's not coming off is because we didn't have it on because it wasn't a priority that we thought we could afford. So now that we have the grant, it's not coming off of any place because it's coming off of the project that was out beyond year 5.
I think he's talking about other spending in year one in
Yeah,
CIP.
that's,
Why isn't that coming, like,
that could be
you know,
true. I,
vehicle purchases and stuff?
right,
I mean, some stuff we're already committed for, it's already.
that's right. There's a lot of stuff
The
that we're
leasing is-
pre-committed
Is
for,
up
that
for, you know,
whether it's priority or not, the town has signed the contract. So,
Anybody else with comments?
I think the answer though to that question is CIP doesn't really, the CIP committee is not in the position of really vetting a project per se, like this project over that one, you know, or killing a project at all, you know, like we're not, that's not part of its mission. Its mission is to sort of advise the selectmen of these projects that people are bringing in.
I know, that's very cool.
I just didn't know if you if that's what you meant, you know, like, which one should we do first of the big ones? That kind of thing is, but what we're trying to do is be more realistic about how it could work and what the variables are and how it would look when you pay for it.
You know, I think,
Like
now
the
that I think
bonding.
about it, I think we did prioritize some things like pushing that loader out to year two, pushing the floors for the
Yeah, we did.
upstairs, pushing
always
those out
do
a
that.
year. The cancellation of the, for a new ramp for fall school.
Mhm.
We did prioritize some of those projects. I think that we're not as vicious people as a group.
That's with the help of the presenters too, I mean, the proposers.
Yeah.
Anything else? All right, do we have a motion to adjourn the meeting for this evening?
So moved.
Second.
All right, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstention? Unanimous.